morning from Abuja. You're welcome to the maiden edition of Insight. Every Friday between the hours of 9 and 10 in the morning on the network of Nigerian Television Authority, the largest television network in Africa, Insight will be creating a veritable platform which will give you a diverse, insightful perspective into contemporary social, political, and economic issues in our nation and around the world like never done before. Beyond scheming issues on the surface, we shall dig deeper, appraise every side of the divide, provoke a robust debate, and encourage free exchange of ideas towards broadening the scope of our public discourse. Discussions on burning issues within the polity by Nigerians from diverse backgrounds will kickstart Insight every Friday by 9 in the morning. This will be followed by an interview segment with policymakers, opinion molders, and stakeholders within the democratic space. This, of course, includes members of the organized private sector and civil society organizations, talking about holding leaders accountable for their actions and inactions. The media is the fourth estate of the realm in every democracy. The media, no doubt, plays a pivotal role as a traditional watchdog in a democratic society. But the question is, what is the watchdog? And this is where our weekly media review segment comes in. It is a segment on Insight that you cannot afford to miss. My name is Femi Adefila, and with me to add color as your co-anchor on this program is Enita Okediji. Enita, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians. It's my pleasure to join Femi as your co-host on Insight. I assure you that this is one program that you would not want to miss. We will do our best to keep you abreast of issues around politics, the economy, current affairs, sports, lifestyle, and a host of other interesting fields of discourse. Insight will always be an interactive platform for cross-fertilization of ideas. This we shall not renege on. You're welcome to the maiden edition of Insight, and please remember to always keep a date with us every Friday morning on this network. Femi?
We shall take a short break now, and when we return, we shall go straight into our discussion segment on Insight. Please stay tuned.
This thing we are talking has been there for years now. Do you have proofs? What proofs? Can you prove it? What I am saying is that you do not understand.
Facts are sacred. Truth always prevails. No falsehood. Putting records straight. No foul language. No manipulations. No fabrications. No scapegoating. Insight. Showing every Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. on the network service of the NTA. Join us.
This morning, Insight is looking at one issue which has raged for so long and has become a sour recurring decimal affecting virtually every home in Nigeria, the ongoing strike by Nigerian university teachers. The Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASU, commenced this industrial action which has lingered for 123 days. The bone of contention was the agreement reached between the federal government and ASU in 2009 that all federal universities will require a total sum of 1.3 trillion naira spread over 3 years to address the challenges within the university. However, in 2012, consequent of the 2009 agreement, an MOU was signed between the union and the government on a number of issues. Out of the 9 items on the said MOU, government claims to have kept faith with some, while others with financial implications constitute issues in the contention in this industrial action. With me to discuss these issues on Inside this morning is a member of the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, University of Abuja chapter, Dr. Kabiru Mato. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
And of course, I have a public affairs analyst, Dr. Kachi Ononoji. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you.
I will start straight with a member of HASU. Obviously, there's a stalemate in this whole negotiation, as it were, because after about 12 to 13 meetings, ASU is saying on 2009 agreement will stand. And federal government saying it is impossible to implement this agreement, as it were. What is the way out?
Well, thank you very much. As you rightly introduced me, I am a member of ASU, a loyal member for that matter. So I am speaking in my capacity in that regard, not as, a leader of ASU. Well, I think the ball is squarely with the government. to either honor the 2009 agreement or take some proactive measures in revisiting that agreement with a view to seeing what is plausible in it. But for the government to come out straight and look at Nigerians in the face and tell them that it's impossible to implement that agreement, in my view, speaks volume about the insincerity of the people that represent us at various levels of administration.
But government has kept with some aspects of the agreement.
The fundamental aspect of the agreement is the restructuring of the university system through increased funding that will not only create access for the millions of young Nigerians that are desirous of university education to have access, but also to be able to improve on the facilities of teaching, learning, and research that will ensure the continuity of this nation in the future by bringing up well-trained manpower that will take over from this generation of leaders that we have in the country. But from the way things are going on, the universities are comatose, and therefore they are unable to produce the right caliber of technical manpower that will be able to run the affairs of this country and even participate.
Before I come to Dr. Kachi, I want to ask you this question. I am convinced there are rot and decay within the system. Do you believe that this is not contributing more to the decay? Because there's a study that shows that ASU, since 1999, has been on strike for more than 30 months out of 156 months between 2009 and to date, which constitutes about 20% of the total time. Don't you believe this is adding more?
Well, you see, I think one major problem that is in focus here is that a lot of people don't seem to think that ASU are also parents. We have our children that are going into this university system, and we know the situation that is on ground, and all we are doing, and I quite say often when I speak, that I appreciate the circumstances that Nigerian parents have found themselves in today. Every parent would like to see his child going to school. But I like to ask parents to be honest with themselves in reviewing the quality of children that they have going into the university and graduating from the Nigerian university system. Is it worthwhile? We're all products of Nigerian university system. We're all products of the qualitative education that we have received from institutions of learning within the borders of this country.
So what I'm saying in a nutshell is that?
So what I'm saying in a nutshell is that the quality of space for learning and the quantity of space for learning in Nigerian universities today is grossly inadequate, and therefore the only way out is a massive investment of cash into the university system and other, not only to expand, but also to repair and make existing structures, take the proper positions of a university structure that they are supposed to take. In my view, this is basically the problem. It's not about salary, it's not about allowances, it's basically about investing in education. And to me, 1.5 trillion naira over a period of 3 years in Nigeria, where we have tremendous resources misapplied in wrong ventures, is not too much a thing to be done.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kachi Ononoju, as a concerned Nigerian, I want to ask you this question. Do you think this statement should go on like this?
You call it a stalemate. I don't see it as a stalemate. I see it as a beautiful beginning of a very, very long conversation. To the days of dictatorship, our educational system was undermined because, of course, dictators don't like people who argue intelligently. And from dictatorship, we've now come into democracy. And like my friend earlier said, for the democracy to have the quality manpower needed to produce results and successes, you need well-trained, well-educated persons.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, the basis for that training is the universal space. The logistics is the system. What I believe we should do is use this teaching moment to design a holistic reapproach to our educational system so as to prepare it for a tomorrow country. I agree, but of course, if you start going into the small particulars of the 2009 agreement, you'll see a lot of fraud. And that's why I think we'll
fraud in what sense, please?
Fraud, because there's a lot written in there that are never going to be implemented. But it also tells you what the system was then. Transiting from dictatorship. They didn't care. They just talked to ASU people. ASU wrote everything they wanted without checking what is implementable or what's not. That's why I'm happy for his word. He says plausible, the ones that are doable.
That's right.
So now that we've gotten there, there are some that are doable. Like if you work for me and you demand a salary, I should pay you.
That's right.
But if somebody else works at John Holt and you come to Kingsway for salary, as they are trying to include members of the private universities.
No, state universities you meant.
State universities are privately owned by
state government, that's right.
We're talking federal universities are different thing. A state can open up a university and put it in the home of the governor just for personal reasons. Now, what we are saying is, if we're talking about federal universities, we'll keep that aside. If it's state universities, we'll treat them. As far as I'm concerned, yes, the crisis is bad, very painful to parents and students. It does present us with a good opportunity for us to sit down and holistically rearrange our school system. For all I know, I believe government should put in money. I believe there should be a Marshall Plan on education. But I also believe members of ASU, as a bedrock of intelligence in this country,
that's right,
should intelligently understand that there are a lot of things in their present book of 2009 that are undoable in today's setting. So let us sit down. The ones that are doable, let government do. First, how do you go back to the classroom with the assurances that government will not go back to being what it was? I will tell you why. Today's government is a democratic civilian government. Yesterday's government was a transitory government from dictatorship onto where we want to come to. And I believe the present administration does want to tackle head on the rot there is caused by decades of dictatorship within our educational system. I do agree.
So in your view, is it fair for an agreement to be reached in 2009 and for federal government to now say today that there are aspects of the agreement that are not doable?
Agreement written. What you
but there was an MOU in 2012.
Well, fine, that's an MOU of understanding. Go back to work. We will, with time, look into your grievances. Now that the grievances have been brought back to the front burner, we will now sit down and look at what is doable and what's not doable. There are things that are inside there that are just not proper.
Like, can you give me
issues about sick leave, issues about
end allowances,
maternity leave, end allowances, supervising of students. If you're a teacher,
a professor
is taught, is paid money to teach, to supervise, to mark. Then you wouldn't be paid for teaching differently, to supervise differently, paid differently for marking, paid differently for...
Let's hear the view of Dr. Matthew on this. What's your take on that? Do you believe those are justified allowances?
Let me first of all say there was indeed an agreement signed in 2009.
Okay.
And the current president was the vice president and head of that government team, which Gamalolo Nosedi was actually sitting in for him.
Yeah.
It was an agreement that was thoroughly discussed before pen was put on paper. And simple, it's public knowledge that government did agree that it was going to fund the university system to the tune of 1.5 trillion naira over a period of 3 years. Okay, that was signed, that was agreed upon. Now, when this could not happen, in 2012, another meeting was held between government and representatives of ASU, where the memorandum of understanding, which actually specified the intention of government to implement those agreements signed in 1995, were also agreed upon. And then lecturers continued with their work. As for allowances, I'm not ready to join issues with several citizens. But if you are in the university and you understand the nature of work that the university, I'm a professor, for instance, and in the university where previously, when I did my doctoral degree in Ahmadu Bello University, I mean, we were not more than 2 or 3 under one supervisor. But go to most Nigerian universities today and find every teacher at the level of senior lecturer and above, and then count the number of postgraduate students, that is, those in advanced diploma classes, those in postgraduate diploma classes, those in master's degree classes, and those doctorate degree classes, and see the number of students that they are supervising. And for God's sake, what is wrong with sick leave? For God's sake, what's wrong with maternity leave when people in public service also go for this particular leave? And so I think the nitty-gritty of the issue...
Let me throw more like that. Yes. I think the issue here is that people are saying that after government has offered the first 100 billion naira for infrastructure, and the second step was another 100 billion naira from UBE account, making about a total of 200 billion naira, and of course 40 billion naira for the allowances. And that's what he's saying until another 90 billion naira is paid. So Nigerians are confused that what is actually the bone of contention? Is it more about allowances or the infrastructural development?
It's not about bonuses, it's not about allowances, I beg your pardon. The problem is that government is not... Look, the infrastructure in Nigerian universities have completely collapsed.
That's right.
There is no doubt about it. The environment for learning, the environment for teaching is virtually absent in our universities. And therefore what we have there is aggregation of young boys and girls that meet and play and do so many things. And the few of the... and the libraries, the laboratories, and whatever we have in our universities today are obviously at the lowest levels. And what we are simply saying is that for the future of this country, Nigeria has tremendous resources. It's a matter of priority and allocation of these resources.
Right.
And if, for instance, Nigerian government is preparing to inject about 3 billion naira to save banks, 3 trillion naira to save Nigerian banking industry, I don't know why the Nigerian federal government will not be able to inject 1.5 trillion naira over a period of time to expand, to rehabilitate, and build these infrastructures that are already collapsed. This is one fundamental issue, and this is one fundamental area. The Nigerians have to have...
Thank you very much. Dr. Kachi, let me ask you this. In 2012, federal government made a total of 12 trillion naira in revenue. And what ASU is asking for to bring back our university system alive is 1.5 trillion naira. Do you think the problem is not getting the priorities right?
The government agrees there is a need for rejuvenation of the places of learning. What the government does not agree with is the allowances, the pocket monies, all those things that are built into it. Look, the government, I'm very, very, very sure, is going to put in far more than this 1.5 trillion you're talking about over the period. But let's not allow the same old disease of corruption get this money into wrong pockets. As we can see now, a lot of what is being calibrated are allowances. Seek this, seek that, travel this, supervisory this, supervisory that. That meant those who put hand to paper in the 2009 MOU didn't look at the small, small intricacies that were all filed in there. Yes, in politics it's called POC. And you cannot blame the teachers for wanting to also be on the same standard with the legislature. Because if you tell me,
that's another issue for another day.
Let us think about our children. One, two, let us think about, as I'm speaking to you, universities in Nigeria are teaching in classes right now. But those teaching are private universities. Now, the people where we do not have classes going on are universities owned by the federal government and in most cases, the state governments.
Let me go to Dr. Kabiru Matthew. Legally speaking, federal government has responsibilities for federal universities.
Yes.
How did state universities come into the picture?
Well, go visit the 1999 Constitution. I will find, and you'll find that labor issues are exclusive, are within the exclusive responsibility list. That is one. And secondly, I like to disagree with my colleague, Dr. Kachi, who is arguing that the major condiment of the agreement which government is disputing is the issue of the minor allowance. And I think, with all sense of humility and respect, it is the simplest form of blackmail that a lot of people in government and outside of government, trying to make, so as to make Nigerians feel or believe that the agitation of ASU is genuine. The agitation of ASU is genuinely for the development. Look, we are talking about infrastructure. We are talking about the development of the university system, and it's a total package. These allowances and other condiments that government and its agents are talking about really do not constitute the main crux of the matter. And if they were, why is it, we're asking about 1.5 trillion naira to rebuild Nigerian university system, and government decided in the first week to release 100 billion naira and also 30 billion naira for all the other
and another UB 100 billion naira
overhead. And again, another issue is it is very dangerous for government to begin to patch on the funds that is meant for UBA, the fund that is meant for TED.
What a structured system of finance.
Right. What we are saying is that over time, from 1973, when Nigeria was said to be 73 million people, to 2006, when we were said to be 140 million people, the population has doubled. But then the resources that accrue to Nigerian government have not only tripled, but it has quadrupled. I am saying that the problem has to do with the priorities of government. And with this strike, we are calling on the attention of government and Nigerians to save the future.
Because of our time, I want to just answer me in one word.
Okay.
What can make ASU to bend backward?
ASU, I'm not speaking for ASU, but as a member of ASU.
Are you a stakeholder?
Yes, as a stakeholder and as a member of ASU, I think the only important thing the government needs to do now is to honor up the 2009 agreement and call ASU for a dialogue on it.
Okay.
It is very.
So you are open to a dialogue.
Yes.
That will review downwards the demand.
Yeah, it is not possible.
Let us have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Let us.
So Dr. Kachi, what do you say about that?
Agreed condiments. That's what we're saying.
Yes.
Let us call a dialogue. Let me tell you, the government may actually end up spending far more than what you are putting on the table.
Spend what
now, but what we are saying is, remove those corrupting condiments that offend the citizens. You are laughing.
Look, this is what I don't want
to it's not a laughing matter. Let me just say this. Let me say this. The lingering crisis.
Listen, this is pardon. And those pardon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Actually do the right thing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kachi Oneloju. Thank you for coming. And of course, Dr. Matthew Kabiru, I thank you very much for coming. We all agree that the ASU strike is a white wind that blows no one no good.
No good.
And of course, and then we come to it. That brings us to the end of our program on Insight. Up next is our special interview segment. Don't go away. Thank you.
This thing we are talking has been there for years now. Do you have proofs? What proofs? Can you prove it? What I am saying is that you do not understand.
Facts are sacred. Truth always prevails. No falsehood. Putting records straight. No foul language. No manipulations. No fabrications. No scapegoating. Insight. Showing every Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. on the network service of the NTA. Join us.
Mr. President just returned from a state visit cum Holy pilgrimage to the state of Israel. This morning on our special interview segment, we are praising issues that crop up during that visit. And to discuss the issues with me this morning is a management and financial consultant and a foreign affairs analyst, Mr. Basil Odilim Enwebera. Mr. Basil, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How's everything?
Fine, thank you.
How's it?
Yeah.
Now, I want us to look at the visit of Mr. President to the state of Israel. What are the implications of that visit?
First of all, when I heard he was visiting Israel, I was very, very, very happy. And what I told myself, what a good move, what a good diplomatic move. And it shows me that the Anyok template, foreign policy template, is yielding the best result. Nigeria finally has had 21st century foreign policy strategy that it is using, and this foreign policy strategy is anchored on economic diplomacy. So when he went to Israel, I said, yes, Israel is strategic. It's a silent superpower. And if you ignore Israel, you do so at your own peril. Now, to move this forward, we have to continue talking with Israel. So I'm even saying, let's go further to create Nigeria-Israeli binational commission.
And before you go further,
yes,
like an icing on the cake, I don't know whether you see it like that.
Yeah.
Mr. President made a dash to Palestine.
Yes, that is another good move. You see, It was the Chinese president Deng Xiaoping who said a great nation that is about to rise must adopt a peaceful and non-confrontational rise. And in global diplomacy said there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, but permanent interests. No permanent friends, no permanent enemies, but permanent interests. The Israeli issue, the Palestinian issue, cannot be discussed in isolation. Nigeria cannot stay in Abuja to discuss it. Nigeria must befriend both Israel and the Palestinians in order to discuss it. It was Abiola who said it philosophically. You cannot slap a man or hug a man without getting closer to him. In any way, to slap him or to hug him must get closer to him. Nigeria getting close to Israel is an avenue for Nigeria to tap Israel from time to time. What about Palestinian issue? And you know, when you become friends, you know, you narrow the suspicion and fears. And I will assure you, because of Nigeria being a Muslim Christian country, the issue of Palestine-Israeli must be important to Nigeria.
Israel has a very, very, very virile, of course, and very active and perhaps the best intelligence gathering organization in the world. Do you see this as assisting our intelligence gathering and sharing system in this country?
Fantastic. That's one of the things I wanted to tell you. You know, whether you like it or not, Israel controls global technology system, information system, finance, agriculture, even American military industrial complex is manned by the Israelis. So also they used to do that of Russia, of Soviet Union, until the Soviet Union disintegrated. So you could appreciate what Nigeria could benefit from intelligence sharing and from the use of technology in surveillance and things like that. So I think the current good relationship between Israel and Nigeria will help us to actually improve on our intelligence gathering and the analysis and how to deploy the best technology to fight urban warfare and terrorism. There's no doubt about that. But there is a caveat there. You know, Israel is a nation that goes for its interests at all costs. They could use it to undermine or to infiltrate our intelligence system, but they can't have both sides.
Use it to support us.
In as much as they use it to support, they could equally use it to infiltrate us. But you know, you can't have it both sides.
What's your take on that? Do you think it's a good development or not so good?
We have to be watching out what they do, but we can enter bilateral agreement that we make it that they should not do that.
Talking about bilateral agreement, bilateral aviation safety agreement that was signed with Israel, what does it portend for our aviation sector?
Fantastic, because it gives more confidence to the relationship between Israel and Nigeria. Could you imagine a Nigerian trying to go to Israel and he has to travel through Turkey or through other places? Imagine an Israeli trying to come to Nigeria. Do you know that there's nothing as important as being able to be connected by air, by road, by sea? So it is the best development, the best thing that happened in Nigeria-Israeli relationship, because it means now that Nigerian airlines can now fly to Israel. Arik, Aero, and name them can now have the power and the permit to fly to Israel and come back. And it means that Israeli tourists can come to Nigeria as quickly as they come, or as quickly as they want as Nigerians. And you know, the 30,000 Nigerian minimum go on pilgrimage every year. If we can deploy Nigerian airlines, Nigerian carriers to do that, it is